Hi, pre-algebra. We are starting a new unit today, Unit 8, Geometric Transformations. Today is Lesson 8.1, Translations. But before we get started in the lesson, I want to talk to you briefly about what a transformation is. A transformation is a movement, and I'm going to demonstrate the different types of transformations on this mini bottle of hand sanitizer. The movements that we are going to look at are translations. Translations, I'm going to translate this bottle of hand sanitizer. I can translate it up. I can translate it down. I can translate it to the right. I can translate it to the left. I can translate it diagonally, but a diagonal translation is a movement to the right and the movement up. It's a combination. So translations are just movements left, right, up, down, or some combination of that. The other is a rotation. A rotation is a turn. So I am right now turning this in a counterclockwise rotation. So a rotation is a turn, and you can move counterclockwise or you can move clockwise like this. But that is a turn or a rotation. The other one is a reflection. A reflection is almost like if you were to flip a pancake. So a reflection, if I were to reflect this, I could reflect it this way. That's a reflection. I could reflect it down. I could reflect it to the right. I could reflect it up. And so those are reflections. And the last is that we're going to look at is a dilation. And let's see if I can demonstrate a dilation. Here is our original bottle. Here's the dilation. So the dilation, it became bigger. Or a dilation, it can become smaller. So a dilation is an enlarging or a reducing of something. A translation is a slide to the up, down, left, right. A rotation is a turn. And a reflection is like a flip. So those are the transformations we are going to look at. And specifically, we're going to look at how do you quantify those movements. So let's get started on 8.1 translations. A little bit far now. And okay. So a translation, like I said, was a left or right, up or down movement. And I want to take a look at this coordinate grid for a second and how it's laid out, because this will help us understand this. This is the x-axis, and to move along the x-axis, you move left or right. And as I move to the right, my numbers are getting bigger. As I move to the left, my numbers are getting smaller. As I move up and down, that's a movement along the y-axis. And as you go up, the numbers are getting bigger. As you go down, the numbers are getting smaller. So knowing how our coordinate grid is laid out will help us with these problems. Let's look at number 2. And again, we are on page 23. So we're on page 23, number 2. It says B at 3 and -7 is translated 2 units to the left and 8 units down. Okay, so if we are moving to the left, we are moving on the x-axis, all right? And if we're moving to the left, we're getting smaller. So that's kind of like subtracting. So since we're moving 2 units to the left, the x, we're going back 2. So it's kind of like x minus 2. 8 units down. When you move up or down, that's the y-axis. Okay, when you're moving up or down, you're moving along the y-axis. And if I'm going down, my numbers are getting smaller. So that's another subtracting. I'm going to go down 8. Okay? So x, this is movement along the x-axis, going backwards or to the left, 2 units. This is movement on the y-axis, going down 8 units. So then we apply this to our point. So 3 is my x value. 3 is my x coordinate, and it needs to go to the left 2 units. So I am going to subtract 2 from the x. And then y, I'm moving down 8. So I'm going to subtract 8 from my y value. Okay. So my x value starts at 3 and then it goes down 2. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So my new coordinate is 1, my new x coordinate, and -7 minus 8 is -15 is my y coordinate. And this is b. Now, one thing I want to mention is b is the original point. This b has been moved. So we put a little line here that indicates this is b after the translation. And we say that b prime. So point b was at 3 and -7. B prime is at 1 and -15. All right, let's look at another one. I think if we do several of these, you will get a feel for how it's working. We are going to look at page 24, number 5. This says, draw the image under each translation. So if we are looking at the coordinate grid, and 5 says triangle FGH is translated 4 units to the right and 3 units down. So we are going to translate this whole shape. And if we want to translate the whole shape, every point on that shape has to be moved in the same manner. So point F is going to move 4 units to the right and 3 units down. Here's our directions on how to translate this. So we're going to go 4 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 units down, 1, 2, 3. Now this is F, but after the translation, remember we call it F prime. So that's F prime. Now let's move H. Again, 4 units to the right, 3 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And this is H prime, because I moved the H. Now we need to move the G in the same way. 4 units to the right, 3 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 units down, 1, 2, 3. And that is G after it's moved, so we call it G prime. All right, once I've got my points, now I'm going to use my straight edge and connect them. So I connect F to G, connect G to H, and I connect H to F. All right, so this, I have drawn the image under this translation. All right, the next one I want you to look at is on the next page, page 25, number 6. This is a little different, but it's the same type of thing. Find the coordinates of each point using the given translation. Label the images on the coordinate plane. Alan's home is located at H, -3, 4. He uses the translations described in A to D to walk his dog. So we are going to map his route. From H, here's H, H is his home. Translate by 2 units to the left, 3 units up to P. So we're going to move the way it tells us, 2 units to the left, 3 units up. And we're going to put a dot there, a point there, and it is called P. We're going to call it P. And then it says, B says, from P, translate by 6 units to the right, 2 units down to Q. So from P, I'm going to go 6 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 units down, 1, 2, and call this Q. Then from Q, translate by 1 unit to the right, 8 units down to R. All right, so I'm going to go from Q, 1 unit to the right, and then 8 units down. Okay, and this is called R. And then D says, from R, translate 11 units to the left, 5 units up to S. All right, if if I go to the left, right now R is at 2 on the x-axis. I'm going to go 11 to the left. That'd be minus, so I need to go all the way to -9. So I'm going to go back to -9. Make sure I'm still, yep. And then 5 units up. So I need to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is S. All right, so we found each point and we labeled it. That's what it asked us to do. All right, we are 26, page 26, number 7. You're going to do this one on your own. 27, number 8. Let's look at this one. It says, an object on the floor of a warehouse has a triangular base. Peter moved the object from its position at ABC under the translation that moves each point xy to x plus 3, y minus 2. Given A, -2, 3, B, 2 and 4, C, 7, 1, find the coordinates of A prime, B prime, and C prime. Draw ABC and A prime, B prime, C prime on the coordinate plane. There are a lot of directions in this problem. So let's see what we need to do. Let's start. The first thing it asks us, I see draw ABC. And they tell us what A, what B, and what C are. And we know it's a triangle. So let's go ahead and graph ABC and go from there. So A is at -2, 3. So we're going to go back to up 3. B is at 2, 4. So we're going to go forward 2, up 4. And C is at 7 and -1. So we're going to go over 7, down 1. And I need to label that. A, B, C. Let's go ahead and connect them to make the triangular shape. Got that. This. And that. Okay. This right here, it describes the movement. So for each point, when you have X and Y, the movement, you're going to add 3 to X, and we're going to subtract 2 from Y. So A is, again, -2 and 3. And the directions tell us to add 3 to X and subtract 2 from Y. So this is our X value. We're going to add 3 to X. This is our Y value. We're going to subtract 2 from Y. Okay, so A prime is going to be -2 plus 3. -2 plus 3 is 1. And then 3 minus 2 is also 1. So A prime is going to be at 1, 1. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1, and I'm going to call this A prime. B is at 2 and 4. Again, the directions tell us the X is going to add 3 to the X and subtract 2 from the Y. So B prime is going to be 2 plus 3 is 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. So what we're going to do is go over to 5, up 2, and this is B prime. C, run out of space. C is at 7 and -1. The directions tell us to add 3 to the X value, subtract 2 from the Y value. So C prime is going to be 7 plus 3 is 10. -1 minus 2 is -3. So we're going to go up, over 10 to the right 10 and down 3. So over to 10, down 3, and this is C prime. Then I need to take my straight edge and connect to make the triangle. back to C prime to A prime to B prime, and then B prime back to C prime. Okay, so as you can tell, they're kind of on top of each other, but ABC was our original. A prime, B prime, C prime is our translated triangle. I think that, you know, like a problem like this is not necessarily difficult, but there's just a lot of words and information in the problem. You just have to wade through that stuff and make meaning. And once you do that, these problems are not super difficult. All right, number 9. Let's go to the next page, 28. Let's look at 9. 9 says a computer program T guides a robot to move an object on the coordinate plane 5 units to the left and 3 units up. This little symbol above here means line segment, and a line segment is 2 points connected by a line. So line segment AB is translated by T to A prime, B prime. What are the coordinates of A and B given A prime and B prime? And then they tell us A prime is 7, 3, B prime is 2, 1. So this one's got a little extra trick to it. It tells us what the movement is. But then instead of saying, here's where we started, where did we end up? They say, here's where we end up, where did we start? So let's say you've got A. The directions say it is that the robot moves an object on the coordinate plane 5 units to the left. So if we're going to the left, we're moving this way 5 units, and that would be a -5 situation. And then 3 units up. So I'm going to use 3 units up. If we're going up, that's an adding situation. So we're adding 3. And then this is A prime, okay? So if they tell us what A prime is, and then we go to A, instead of going 5 to the left, 3 up, if we're starting here, we got to go 3 down and 5 to the right. So, A prime is 7, 3, okay? Now we're going backwards. So instead of, on the x-axis, instead of going back 5, we're going to go +5. And then the y-axis, if we're starting here and going backwards, we're going to subtract 3. Okay? So A would be 7 plus 5 is 12. 3 minus 3 is 0. All right, so that is what A is. B prime is 2 and 1. So it's up here. On the y, we're going to subtract 3. On the x, we're going to add 5. So add 5, subtract 3. So B is 2 plus 5 is 7. 1 minus 3 is -2. So there you have it. They told us where we ended up, so we had to move backwards. We had to figure out where we started. Let's look at 10. 10 says a line has the equation y equals x minus 3. It is translated by 2 units to the right and 7 units down. What is the equation of the new line? How do the slopes of the line and its image compare? All right, 2 parts. We got to find the equation of the new line. Here's our, I'm going to just write original and new. Okay, so the original equation is y equals x minus 3. Now the translation is 2 units to the right. Okay, so we've got to figure out if we're moving to the right, we are moving on the x-axis. And 2 units to the right, my x value is getting bigger. So I have to add 2 to the x, okay? And 7 units down. Now when we move down, that's a movement on the y-axis. And if we're going down, we're getting smaller by 7. So whatever x is, I have to add 2 to it. Whatever y is, I have to subtract 7 from it. So right here, instead of y, we're going to write y minus 7. That's what the new one is. Equals, so you think about that. We're going to do x plus 2. We're going to write that instead of x, but we got this minus 3 with it, okay? Now, I put the parentheses around it because this was kind of what's happening to it to keep it grouped together. I can just drop the parentheses because this is a 1 out there, and if I distribute the 1, it's still y minus 7. I can drop that because we got x plus 2 minus 3. And then we just need to combine like terms. We need to get this back in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to do y minus 7. It's simplified on the left, but I'm going to simplify this on the right. And it'd be x plus 2 minus 3 would be minus 1. And we're going to add 7 to both sides so that we end up with y equals x plus 6. Okay. So the original was y equals x minus 3. The new is y equals x plus 6. How do the slopes of the original line and its image compare? So let's look at the original. What is the slope? M is the slope. Y equals mx plus b. Well, the slope is not written, but it does have a slope. What is the slope? Very good, 1. What about this one? Y equals x plus 6. What is the slope? Well, in this one, the slope is also 1. So how do the slopes of the line and its image compare? Well, the slopes do not change. They're the same. So the slopes do not change. All right. On a coordinate plane, an object, let's look at number 11. On a coordinate plane, an object at P, -2, 3, is copied by moving it to the point P prime 5, minus 1. Describe the translation of this point both verbally and algebraically. Okay, so let's look our x values. Our x values. It starts at -2, and then it moves to 5. So if we are on the x-axis and we start at -2 and we go to 5, are we moving to the right or to the left? So we are moving to the right. And how many units is it from -2 to 5? Well, if you start at -2 and get to 0, 2 spots. And then if you go from 0 to 5, you've gone 5 spots. So you're actually moving to the right 7 units. Okay. Now think about if we're moving on the x-axis, if we go from -2 to 5, is it a +7 or -7? Well, it's a +7 situation. Okay. So that is the x movement. Let's look at the y movement. The y value is 3 at P, and then it moves to -1. All right, y, we're moving up or down. Okay, so if we start at 3 and we go to -1, did we move up or did we move down? Well, we went down. Now, how many units do you need to go down if you start at 3 and end at -1? Well, that would be 4 units. Okay, and if I go from 3 to -1, am I adding 4 or subtracting 4? Very good, I'm subtracting 4. So by analyzing this will help us with both the verbal, the description of the translation verbally and algebraically. Because right here, this is your verbal. Right here, this is your algebraic. Okay, so let's finish this out. This is not enough. This is not enough. But the verbal. So we will say P is translated 7 units to the right and 4 units down. Okay, that's my verbal description. Now I need my algebraic and we'll say translation of X and Y to, we added 7 to the X value, to X plus 7, and we subtracted 4 from the Y minus 4. So again, we analyze what's happening to the X value, what's happening to the Y value. This is the verbal analysis. This is the algebraic analysis. So verbally, P is translated 7 units to the right and 4 units down. Algebraic, the translation of X, Y to X plus 7, Y minus 4. All right, that concludes our lesson on translations. I want you to finish for this section all the ones that we did not do together. Now, we only had 10 problems. We did probably half of them together. So finish those and turn them in using the link, and have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.